My name's Ralph Swain. I want to say that I have known Michael for 34 years. I came to Sioux City in 1980 from Wheeling Jesuit College, now university. And my purpose to come to Briar Cliff was to expand the mass communication program into the broadcast media area. And my previous boss, the chair, moved on to Eugene, Oregon, to the university there. And then I went for a couple of years with some adjunct part-time teachers. But as the program expanded, and it really expanded in numbers quite rapidly, I needed a second full-time instructor. And a young man from Marina, California, he was a yearbook photographer. I looked at his resume, I was very impressed. I flew him to Sioux City. We sat down and I had an immediate connection with Michael. There were similarities. I'm a quarter Scot-Irish. I don't look it, but anyway. We both have a bachelor's degree in political science. We were both photographers, although my forte was videography, but I've always loved photography. I taught it back when chemistry was part of it. And when Michael arrived, we were still using the chemical lab, but as digital photography came about, we moved into digital and closed the wet photography, as we called it, laboratory. Michael was always in the forefront of new technology, and I love that. Even though he was 16 years my junior, I also enjoyed new technology. I was never afraid of it. He and I were the first faculty to get pagers. Anybody know what a pager is? Wow. Now back then, doctors and police detectives had pagers. They were little devices that clipped on your belt, and there was a little window, and it would shake and beep. If there was an emergency, you could look down and see who was calling you. But then you had to go find a phone to call in. And then when cell phones came out, the big heavy ones that clanked on your belt, he and I were among the first to get those, and then we got the flip phones and so forth. But digital photography was really key. And it was interesting because we moved into an era when the digital revolution hit. We used to have Macintosh computers, and we loved them because he was a Mac person. I was always a Mac person. And then other faculty, of course, had public PC computers. So you had the IBM clone, which PC is, and then you had the Macs. And the IT department just said, hey, we can't support two platforms. It's too expensive. Guess what they took away from us? Yeah, they came into Mike's office and my office, and they said, hey, there goes your Macintosh, and here's a PC. I am now at Western Iowa Tech, and we're 100% Mac, and I love it. So anyway, and the public schools got into Mac early on, and now they've moved to PC, so who knows. We set up a program. We had grant money. We were always fortunate at Briar Cliff to get grant money. And I remember Edwin Blackburn, bless his heart, he was our grants person at Briar Cliff at the time, and I worked with him on Title III grants. And we got a sizable chunk of money to expand the mass communication program. We had money to build a campus radio station. We had a satellite downlink. We had brand new TV studio equipment. We outfitted the new laboratory. We bought digital cameras, and we set up a multimedia classroom. And Michael and I always tried to make sure we had our classes up there. The top floor of Heelan Hall was this showcase classroom with tiered seating, and the students didn't have regular chairs. They had these executive chairs that adjusted, and we have video projection, and we had all this equipment, and it was a real thrill to teach there. And then down on the first floor of Heelan, we had another showcase area, which was all glass. We had all the new video editing equipment. We had the Cliff News newspaper, which was Michael's pet to operate with the students. We moved into the digital composition to put the newspaper together and so forth. That was great. Some of the things that Michael and I did together, and I hope I'm enlightening the family on some of these things, because like you said, not everybody, a lot of us perhaps spent a lot more time because you were in other parts of the country. And I spent a decade with Michael at Briar Cliff College before I left in 2000. He and I were both joined the third to-be-annual Police Citizens Academy, which was in 11 weeks working with the Sioux City Police. It was fantastic. And because of that experience in working with the Sioux City Police, he became an official photographer for the Sioux City Police Department. I became the official videographer. And Michael had a special way of taking pictures, and I called it the Crowley Crouch. All right? Now, those of you that saw him in action, he would take that camera up, but he would crouch. All right? He always shot like that. He knew, he had the eye, and he knew how to point and how to compose that, frame that picture. I could imagine the thousands of digital images that are on some hard drives. He went twice to Santa Fe, New Mexico when I was chair of the department, and spent several days on a photo shoot, educational type faculty development event there. And in one of his photo series for the professors he was working with, all he photographed were doorways and windows in Santa Fe. And you would think, where's the people? Doorways and windows? They were beautiful. They were colorful. Any of you have been to New Mexico, they really paint their buildings beautifully. Perfectly composed and just wonderful. When I turned 50 in 1993, for my birthday, Michael gave me a beautiful framed photograph of a Winnebago Vietnam veteran dressed in full regalia, and he titled it The Veteran, because I was a Vietnam veteran, and he knew how much I worked with veterans organizations in the area. And that picture has always been in a prominent place in my house. Even after I moved to Arizona, my wife and I set up a Native American room. His picture that he had given me, his photo was put there. And now back in Sioux City, where we're going to stay, the same thing. That's going to be a prominent location. So I guess I have immortalized, to a certain extent, Michael on YouTube, because there is a video that I produced under a Title III grant of key faculty members who were involved in the high-tech room and using technology in their courses from all different areas. He's interviewed in that video, and you can see the compassion when he discusses his involvement using the technology with his students. I feel proud that we can always go back and look at Michael on YouTube. One of the things that he did while we were working with the Sioux City Police is came up with the suggestion of what we call baseball cards. And the Sioux City Police said, hey, great, I have the whole collection, but he went and he shot pictures of all the sworn officers, men and women, and he even shot the pictures of the police dogs. And so he took the pictures of the police dogs with their badges. And then what happened is the police officers, if you flip the card over, there was a short biography of the police officer. These things were enormously popular because kids would stop police officers and say, "Hey, can I have your police card?" Because they would collect them and try to collect every single one. And that's a legacy that Michael left. Our favorite place for luncheon meetings was Dachau. It's funny because Dachau, K-A-O, is really the way the Vietnamese pronounce C-O-W, cow. In Vietnam, it was extremely rare for anyone to eat cow because they were very poor, and chicken and fish was on their diet. But when they had the opportunity to eat cow, it was like to us and filet mignon. That was kind of our go-to place for our luncheon meetings. And when we came back to Sioux City just this past June 1st, July 11th, I got hold of Michael, and we had our reunion at the Cow restaurant, he and my wife, Maji. And then back again on December 7th, we had lunch at the Cow, again with not only Michael, but Kristen Perez, who was a former student and now full-time in the teaching department of mass communication. After that, just a couple of weeks ago, Michael and I met in the department there and spent some time talking, and he seemed really, at that point, very up, and he had told me that he was being able to maneuver pretty well without the cane and so forth. But believe me, it was tough. It was tough. Michael went through a lot. So, I could go on and on, but I just want to maybe end this with, since we're talking about songs, there's a song that reminds me of Michael. It was released in 1960 by the Highwaymen, and I'd like to paraphrase some of the lyrics. The Jordan River is chilly and cold. It chills the body, but not the soul. The river is deep. The river is wide. There's green pastures on the other side. Michael, row the boat ashore. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.